Welcome, it's Gail here. In this video, I'd like to show you how to create this horse over on the left side here. I will create all of these animals, but I'm going to do them separately. I'm also going to freehand this, and you could use shapes to kind of help figure out the space if you'd like, but I'm just going to move the lines around a little bit later, and we'll see how it goes. So I'm already in Google Drive, and if you don't know how to get here, you just open up a Google page and click on the apps up here, and then you can find Google Drive and it will take you right here. I've already created a folder called Animals. If you haven't done so, I recommend doing that if you're going to create more than one animal. And to make a folder, just go to this plus sign and new right here and click on folder, and you can title it and you're ready to go. We're also going to click on this area to go down to more to find Google Drawings in this extra pop-up window right here. And so now that I'm here, I'm going to click on Untitled Drawing and type in what I'm creating here. So right now it's going to be a horse, and I'm going to move it to that folder so I can find it easily later on. And I'm just going down to move right here and looking for animals, and I have it moved in there already. The next thing I want to do, because I'm using the Polyline tool and my space is pretty small here, I want to make it as large as I possibly can, especially if I'm going to add a lot of lines. If you clicked in two places that are really close to one another, the Polyline tool thinks that you're done with that shape and you won't be able to create a shape that fills in. So I'm going to do it this way by going to File, and I'm going down to Page Setup. And while I know that this is an 8x8 square canvas, what I want to do is go down to Custom, and this is a little easier because my ratios are going to be the same on both sides, 10 and 10, but I'm going to change this to 20 by 20, so that way there will be more space to work with. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open this up a little bit larger here, and I'm going to view, and I'm going to click on zoom, and I'm going to go up to 100% just so I have a little bit more leeway, and I'll have to kind of pull back and forth here, but you can see that I'll have a lot more space to spread out those dots or those clicks when I'm using the Polyline tool. So to get started, I'm going to start at the top here. And I can see I'm pretty far in here, so I think I'll probably come into, I'm going to go all the way to the right here. And it looks like I'm going to be coming into probably about the 4-inch line here. Actually, I should probably come in more. But if it's smaller than what I'm intending on making, that's okay too. And I'm just going to start here by going to the line tool right here, and I'm going down to Polyline, and I'm going to keep the ears on the canvas, so I'm going to start about right here and start to click upward. Every time I'm stopping, I am clicking, and we'll see how this goes. And I'm going to start to come out here down the head. Just kind of thinking about where the eye would be, so I'm clicking there a little bit. And then also I want to kind of click where the end of the bone of the horse would be, and I'm just going to lean it in a little bit, even though this is abstract. And I'll come in here, and I'm not too concerned about getting everything correct at this point. I'm just getting the points there so I can move them around later. And at this point, I don't know if Google has anything where you can actually add on the points. So this was going to be off a little bit, but that's okay. I'm going to change it as I go along. And I'm also going to look at the negative space. And the negative space is the space right in the white space between the head and the neck. And then I'll come out over to the side like so. I'm thinking about the shoulder on the back a little bit. Even though it's abstract, I want to have a little bit of leeway there in case I feel like I need it later on. You could make it very straight and see how that comes along. And of course you can stylize this any way you want. And going around this curve right here, I could have added on the tail a little bit later, and that might have been a better choice. And I'm just scrolling down a little bit on the launch pad or mouse so I can continue. And I'm coming out a little bit larger here to make sure that I leave enough space between. Otherwise, I might have to start all over again. Although there's another way that I can get around that. I haven't had a chance to play around with it enough to know how to really get it to work correctly. So I'll play around with that more in a future video. And then I'm going to come down, even though this is going, it will cross over, so I'm going to have to think about this. I'm going to come in one more part right here and then see if I can start to come down for the leg right here. And I can see that I'm going to come out here for the knee, and I can change that later on. I'm not too concerned about it right now. I'm just going to add a couple little lines here just in case I decide I need them. And it looks like I'll go down to about this far for right now. And I can change things much later on if I'd like. So every time you want to curve it a little bit, it's a straight line. You just want to really kind of take your time working with this. I don't even know what it looks like at the top. I'm not too concerned about that right now. I'm more concerned about getting this area between the front and the back legs figured out first. And I am making it abstract. I'm making the bottom part of the legs a little bit longer. That will not look like a real horse. And I'm planning on using the abstract shapes in between, and I definitely want to stylize this one. Maybe in the future I will do one that looks more realistic. And I was running out of space there, so I just kind of clicked on there. And I'm also looking at the leg that I just did and looking at the thickness of the legs to see if I can get that as close as I can without getting too crazy. Now I'm going to make this a little shorter here in front since the rib cage would come down more. I have no idea what I'm going to have at the end here. And again, it's just having enough points there. I can always change it once I'm done, but I do need to add all the points that I plan to use first. And I'm all the way to the edge here, so this is going to be kind of funny, and we'll see what I'll have when we get up to near the top. Not as bad as I thought. I'm just going to keep going up to the very top there. I will add on a little bit later so I don't have to worry about that being accurate. And I think this ear might come about right here. And I just put an extra one there just in case I want to play around with it in a minute and move this around. and I connected it, and that's the shape I have so far, which really isn't too bad. And so now what I'm going to do is get out of this tool by hitting escape on my keyboard. Another way you could get out of this is just by using the selection tool, just clicking on the arrow right here. And I'm going to double click inside, and now I can see my lines here. And I know I want to bring this one down more. I did not want the neck to be that thin, or the body to be that thin. And looks like I am going to have quite a bit of readjusting here, which is okay. I'll move this down. And I do want to make that a little bit thicker still. I'll come over here. And let's see where I want to go. So I want to bring this down. I might keep it really tall right there. That's not bothering me too much. And I can always come back and adjust this later on. I do think I want to kind of move this out a little bit more so these are shorter lines, so I kind of get the look I want. And I think I'm going to double click in here and just move this up a little bit. And that's pretty good. Let me move this one out. Ooh, I have all this space down here. And I think I'm going to take advantage of that in just a minute. So the thing I want to do now, and just see if I can play around with this, is I'm going to click off of it. And since I want the legs to be longer, I'm just going to see if I can stretch it down a little bit. And that's kind of fun. I'm just going to see what happens if I do this. So there's so many different ways you can kind of play around with this. I like that. And I might make it a little bit wider right here too to fill up all the space. And that's pretty good there. And I think I want to make the legs even longer and have a little bit more fun with this. Maybe a little wider. And that looks pretty good. So I'm going to double click inside one more time, and I'm going to start to move this around over here, make it a little bit wider. And it looks like I need to move this one over here. And then I was going to finish this ear, but I might need to bring it down a little bit more to finish that. So I'm going to click off of it. So I have it selected as just one piece. And I'm going to go to, I'm on my move tool right here. So I'm just going to grab it and see if I can move it down a little bit. Just a little bit. I don't need to move it down that much. Maybe to about right here. And now I'm going to double click inside and see if I can bring this ear up, kind of finish it. And I might come back and finish it a little bit differently later on, but this is a good start. And it looks like I want to do the same thing with this ear over on this side. And I think I'll keep this shape right here for right now. And that's looking pretty decent. Now I'm going to have fun with the overall shading inside here. It's already selected, so I'm going to the paint tool right here. I'm going over to gradient, and I'm going down to custom, And I think I'm going to add maybe one or two in here. And I'm going to play around with the blues and turquoise colors and just see what happens. So I'm going to click on the one on the right, and maybe I'll start with, I don't know if I have, I'm going to click on this turquoise one right here, and we'll just see if I need to change that in a minute. And then maybe I'll go to blue, and I think I'm actually going to bring in a little bit more turquoise and maybe add another one in here, move this one over, and see if I can get that one to go back to a blue. And maybe over here we'll see if we can go to a little bit darker blue and just see what happens. And you know, that's pretty fun. I'll keep that for right now. I'm also going to get rid of this outline in a little bit, but I'm going to keep it like this for right now. And now it's time to have fun with the hair and with all of the designs on here. And for this one right here, I'm going to change that and get out of the Polyline tool. I'm going to use Curve tool. So I'm going to click on this, go down to Curve, and then I'm just going to start a little line right here. And I'm just clicking where I want the circle to go and the curve right here. And it's going to fill in here a little bit differently, but that's okay. It'll make it a little bit more rounded. And I have that shape right there. And it filled in with the values I already had there. And I'm just going to go up here and change this one to custom. And I'm going to remove some of these in here. And I'll just keep it to 2 colors. And I'm going to change it to an orange and maybe a red. And I can always come back and change it later if I don't like that. And get a shape like this. I'm going to double click in the center to find those. Oops, I need to get out of this tool by hitting escape on the keyboard or selecting the arrow tool right here. Now I can double click on it, and I'm just going to move it in a little bit. And I also want to get rid of that outline around here by going to the border color and choosing transparent. And that looks pretty good for right now. And I'm also going to add the eye over here. And for the eye, I think I'm going to use shapes. I'm going to come over here and grab the circle tool. And I'm just going to pull out an oval like so. And if I want to, I can change it more later on. But for right now, I think I want to keep this about right here. And I'll get rid of that line and make that a gradient color by going to gradient and custom. Over here I'll go with more of the orange, and then on this side I'm going to choose probably the lighter yellow. And I think I'm going to come back to this one and go a little bit lighter here too, and click OK for that part of the eye. And if I need to, I can make that a little bit more less rounded, but I'm going to keep it like this for right now. And I'm going to click on this, and I'm just going to rotate it a little bit. And I'm also going to hit Command plus D or Control plus D. It's Command plus D on Apple devices, otherwise it's Control plus D to duplicate. And I'm going to hold, I'm just going to pull this in. I was going to hold down the Shift key, but I didn't need to do that. And I have this one right here, and I'm going to change that to black. And if I want, I could keep it right there, or I can kind of move it over here. And I'll just keep it like that for right now. So now I'm ready to add some hair up here. I also might want to add a little part of the nose right here by going back to the Polyline tool. I'm just going to create the shadow right here. So I'm going to come, or the highlight. And so I'm going to come up to the top right here and kind of follow this line again. I'll have to send it behind in a minute, but I'll show you how to do that in a second. I want to come down like so. And I'll have to change that a little bit in a minute. And I'm just coming up here because I'm going to cover it with hair in a minute. And I have that shape. I'm going to get rid of the outline by choosing transparent there. and then I'm going back to the paint tool. I'm going over to gradient and coming down to custom, and I think I will try the turquoise right now, and maybe over here I'll choose, I don't know what color I want to go with that. I want to stick with this lighter blue right here, and we'll see what happens. And that actually looks pretty fun and good. So I'm going to send it one, I'm going to arrange, and I'm going to send it back one. So it's like there's different sheets of paper on top. So I have to select this first. And I have to get out of that tool by going to select or hitting escape. So I have this selected. Now I'm going to order, and I'm going to send it backward one. And I might have to hit this several times to send it back behind that red circle that I made. Another thing I could do is just go to arrange and send it all the way back, and then I'll bring it forward. So I'm going to order, and I'm going to bring it forward, and now I have the shape where I want it to be. And I'll fix this up a little bit later on. I'm just going to keep it like that for right now. And the next step will be adding the hair here. So I'm going back, I'm in the polygon tool, so I'll stay here. And I'm just going to, actually I think what I might want to do is go to the curve tool and have a little fun with that and see what happens. I'm going to click on that, and then I'm going to start to create the hair coming down here. And I got this here. And come down here. And this is working out pretty well. I'm glad I decided to use this one. And I am going up higher and trying to create the hair on top of the head. And I see that I'm going to come to this part right there to finish that shape. Oh, that's kind of fun. And then I'm going to get out of this tool by using the arrow key right there. I'm going to click on this. I'm just going to move this over a little bit and see how that looks. And that's pretty fun. I'll keep it like that for right now. And I'm going to start the hair down here. So I'm just clicking on this tool again, and I'm ready to start about right here. Making sure that my curve lines are far enough away, and I'm just I'm clicking every time I stop a little bit. I'm clicking to let this tool know how I want it to curve. And we got that shape, and that looks pretty fun right there too for now. Now I have this shape over here, and I'm going to get out of this tool by clicking the select tool right here. I'm coming over to this one, and I'm going to duplicate it by hitting Command plus D or Control plus D. And I'm going to move this one over, and I'm going to flip it by going to arrange and going down to rotate and flipping it horizontally. And I'm going to fill in this shape over here. And all I'm going to do is pull in this corner to make it larger. And I'm going to click on these lines, and I'm just going to kind of bring it over and play around with this shape right here. I'm having fun with these colors. And just adding a little bit of sense of play and having fun with this. Not trying to be serious or create anything other than some simple geometric shapes and some organic shapes to kind of add a little softness to here. And that looks pretty fun and different. And I don't care if this is completely round or not. I want it to have a little organic shape. I don't want it to look too much like a circle. I'm going to click off of it so that way that's selected. Then I'm going to select this. I'm just clicking on this hair right here. I'm going to bring it forward by going to Arrange, going to Order, and bring it to the front. And now it's in front of there, and that looks pretty good. And I'll keep it like that for right now. And now I got some other little shapes in here that I can play around with. I also have some squares, but I think what I'm going to do with these squares is I'm just going to use the Polyline tool, and I'm going to make it offset a little bit because I want it to have a sense of play. I'm also going to overlap this right here for this purple box shape, and I'm just going to come in a little bit so it's not too perfect. I'll go across to here, and then I'm going down. And I don't want it to be, I don't want it to be too perfect. Now, since I'm just going to come in here and close this one off, and I'm going to change that to purple. And I might come in and change that a little bit later. That's a little bit, I might keep that for right now. We'll see. I think what I'm going to do with this shape is actually go up to here and go to Gradient and click on Custom. And over here, I'll click that purple. And then over on this side, I might actually click on this one and just see what happens. And that's pretty fun. I like that. And I'm going to get rid of the black outline by going to Border Color and choosing Transparent. So now I have that. And then what I'm going to do is click, let's see, I'm still in that tool right here, so you can see what happens if I forget to click out of it. So I'm just going to click on the arrow right here. I'm going to select that circle, and I'm going to bring it, and I'm also going to hold down the Shift key and grab a hold of this hair right here so I bring them both forward at once. I'm going to Arrange, Order, and bring to the front. And now I have that shape created right there, and that looks pretty fun. Okay. Now the circle one right here, this one's going to be a little bit more tricky, so I'm going to make it super big and see if I have a little bit more control over it. And I'm going to the Select Line tool to go to Curve again, and let's see how this works out. I think I might start in the very middle and go, I'm just going to kind of curve around a little bit to start the spiral right here so that I can hopefully go large enough. I'm going to go super large. I can always change this a little bit later, but I don't want to be too far off. And I hope this works out. And it looks like I want to come over to about right here. Maybe a little bit more right there, just in case I need that. Now I'm going to curve it inward and create this into a shape. Almost there. I want to make sure I connect these lines together so it turns into a shape like that. Ooh, that color is fun too. But I am going to change it, so I'm going to get rid of that outline by choosing Transparent. Then click on this. Oops, I have to get out of that tool by clicking the arrow tool or select tool. And then I'm going to change this to, I'm going over Gradient. I might go back down to this reddish orange one again. I kind of like that. And then I'm going to double click, and I'm just going to move these lines around just a tad bit. I'm not going to worry about this too much. Maybe I want to curve this in a little bit more. And you can get as funky with these shapes as you want. And I think I'm going to keep that. That's pretty fun. I can always change it a little bit more later on. Now that I'm off of it and I already have the arrow tool selected there, I'm going to grab a hold of this and just move it down a little bit. And the way I look at these lines and these fun little whimsical shapes inside here is it's kind of like the spirit of the horse. I'm kind of capturing the overall essence versus trying to make it look realistic, and just kind of envisioning all the colors that this horse has and how the horse sees the world. And now I'm going back to the line tool, Polyline tool, and I'll create that yellow line tool right here. I just come over. And I might need to straighten that out later, but I'll come over here. Ooh, that's kind of fun. And then I'm going to change that to, I'm going to custom, actually I'm going to choose this one right here. I'll just keep it kind of simple and use some of those colors over and over again. I might come back and change that later on, but it's good for right now. I'm going to choose the Polyline tool again. I'm going to come over on this other side. And I'll change that one to this too for right now. And then I have this rectangle shape up here, and I accidentally have this selected right here. So instead of going up to the arrow tool, just to show another way, I'm clicking escape on the keyboard. And I'm going to make this shape a little bit thinner by just moving it up a little bit. Okay, and there we have that. And I'm going to create this little rectangle shape right here by clicking on the Polyline tool. And start this one over here. I'm going to make it a little weird looking on purpose. And I'll change that to the yellow. And then I'm going to create another shape inside, but first of all, I'm going to get rid of that black outline by going to here and choosing transparent. And now I will, let's see, do I want to keep it like this? I'm going back to the Polyline tool here. And this one doesn't want to connect very well, but hopefully I got that. And then I'll just go to the blue right here for right now and see about that. And then I'm going to click on the arrow to get out of that, and I'm just going to bring this down a little bit lower. And I'm just going to double click on it so I can move these points in. I'm going to click on this one and bring these points in here too to make sure that that's filled in. And anything that's going behind there, I'm just going to grab a hold of this one and bring it to the front by going to Arrange, Order, and Bring to the Front. And I have that going on there. And the next step, we got a lot of steps here. So anyway, you can kind of see what I'm doing here. I'll go on ahead and finish this. I'm going to do it more quietly now. I'm also going to do a zigzag over here, and hopefully, I think before I publish this one, I will speed up this portion just to kind of show you what else I do here. And I think that's it for the horse right here. I will still play around with it just a tad bit more, but I added a little casting shadow over here, or a drop shadow by clicking on this and going to format options, and then I chose a blue to make it a little bit more whimsical. I think I'm also going to do that with the eye right here, and I'm just going to close this, open it back up again, and go to blue, add a little distance there, and a little shading, and we'll see if that's popping out more. That looks good. And I didn't add this purple on top here. I don't know if I will. I might click on this part right here, and I'm just going to make it a little bit larger. And I'm going to do the same thing up here. And I think I'm going to keep it like that instead. And there's the horse. I hope you enjoyed this video. Talk to you soon. Have a great day. Bye-bye.